We Dig Community tells the stories of the people and organizations behind Community Bucket's service-made social mission. We hope you enjoyed this episode and, of course, subscribe to listen to future shows and stay part of the community.
We are live.
Welcome. Hey, Kate. Hey, Kat.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
How are you guys?
Great.
Ready for the weekend.
70 degrees outside. Can't complain.
Yes.
It's opening day at Rocky Stadium.
Is.
I like the purple. Way to represent, Kat. Way to go.
You guys are making me jealous. It's very cold in Atlanta. I feel like we should be flip-flopped because it's freezing here.
Yeah.
What's up with
you
that?
can come out. Yeah, take a road trip. Jesse's done it.
That's true. I need to come out for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys both for joining us today. We're really excited to talk to you both, share your stories, how you found Community Bucket, and a little bit about what you both do in Denver. And I will start by saying one of the reasons I'm really excited, and JC is too, about having both you, Kat and Kate, on today is one of the real gifts that I see in my involvement, 8+ years of Community Bucket, has just been so many awesome people that have really could not do what we do without so many hands and so many good minds and welcoming faces. And both of you have played really unique roles in really getting things established here in Denver, getting myself established in Denver. So just excited to have both of you on and so appreciative of everything you've done. So with that, and maybe we'll just start, Kat, you can go first.
Cool. Well, currently I work for the city of Denver with Denver Economic Development and Opportunity, and I'm the acting director of the Neighborhood Equity and Stabilization Division. And so I'm very involved in the community and love knowing everything that's going on in the city. And that's what really drew me to Community Bucket, was feeling like I really knew the community of Denver and getting to know a lot of the great organizations that make up the Denver community. So I moved to Denver in 2017 in the summer. And I found that Community Bucket was a great way, as I was new to the city, to get to know other people who are like-minded and civically engaged, and also just feel much more connected to the fabric of the Denver community.
Great. Kate?
Awesome. Yeah. I'm an occupational therapist. I currently work for Craig Hospital, the rehabilitation hospital out in Inglewood, on their admissions team. So I help bring patients in that need rehab for brain injuries and spinal cord injuries. I'll echo Kat quite a bit, but I also moved late summer of 2017. Moved here completely independently, so didn't really know anyone, and I had done a lot of volunteering back in Kansas City where I lived. And so how ironically, I moved into this apartment complex that had these really great monthly events, and ran into this guy named Jesse who was like, yeah, I run this volunteer group. You should jump in and come to some of our events. And so once I went to an event, I was kind of hooked and wanted to be as involved as possible to get to know more people. And honestly, some of my, for sure, my best and closest friends are people from Community Bucket. So it's been really great, not only, to have the volunteer piece and feel good about that, but to create some really, really great friendships from that group. So it's been a benefit for me, for sure.
Kate, don't lie. I think you probably started talking to Ruby first before.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You are Ruby's dad. That's about it. That's what you got.
But I always forget that we all moved here right around the same time. Kat, I remember when I met you and we started talking about what Community Bucket was. I thought you were so established in Denver, knew every organization, every nonprofit. And really, you just had a few months lead on me. So why don't both of you just share, and again, maybe Kat, you could start, since you were really there from really day zero. in getting the founding team going, but just a little bit about what you already both shared what drew you to Community Bucket, but what your involvement has been from the and kind of what that looks like now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was on the original like 5-person founding team when Community Bucket was getting started up in Denver. At the time, I was working for a consulting firm called Joining Vision in Action that works primarily with nonprofit organizations. So I was really interested in like helping Community Bucket connect with more of the nonprofit community. I think I kind of ended up just being like the cruise director and getting all of my friends to come to like every event. But yeah, it was the starting process was really interesting. It was like, it sort of felt like herding cats, but then all of a sudden we had this incredibly successful first happy hour event. And I mean, I don't know how many people showed up, like 50 to 80. It was a big event. And so it was really cool just to see how much interest there is. And I think there are people in the Denver community who are really thirsty for a community and to feel connected to the city that many of them are new to, because a lot of people are moving to Denver from other places. And so I think it's a great model as far as, you know, connecting people to each other and connecting people to their community. And I think that was really apparent with that very first event. Yeah, I feel like I didn't totally answer your question, but that's where I went.
That's good. Well, and then you really, so we formed the host team, which you led for 20 and then handed that off to Kate, which is a good segue. So Kate, you took over, but you were involved before then. So I'll let you talk about a little bit before you became host team manager.
Yeah, so Kat did all of the hard work and then just spoon fed it to me, which is great. No, yeah, like I said, Jesse and I met because we live in the same apartment building, and I started going to events. And I think the first question when I signed into the event was, would you be interested in learning about the host team? So I checked yes, and then just started getting involved, which really just meant being more involved in the planning and kind of leading those events so that when everyone showed up to an event, there was someone kind of captaining and being in charge to kind of direct people. And I loved that. And so then Kat had all these other responsibilities and things happening in her life. So it felt really good to be able to take that from her. And she set me up for success with kind of warning me about all the things and helping me with what I should be aware of and what was really helpful. And then, so I started this in 2020, which was wild to try and be in charge of a volunteer group when we can't really do volunteering events. So we got really, really creative. But my favorite thing about the host team was not only the great people that are on that team, but finding all the different passions and finding and getting creative with events that matched people's passions. Some people are animal people. So when we get to go and be a part of those groups where you're benefiting like a therapeutic animal group, and I'm sorry, I have a window in front of me with all these lights, there we go. And then finding people that just wanted to do more outdoor events with the Parks and Rec department. So it's really cool to see a lot of people come to all of the events because they love doing something great for the community and having that social aspect. I love that there's a wide variety of ages, all different demographics. It's been really cool to meet lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds here, and finding all those different passions. Like I said, people are coming for the social piece, but also coming because they want to do something great for the community and then building these relationships. So 2020 was a really interesting time to jump into this because we had to get really, really creative. And I'll be honest with you, the hosting piece I love about the community and the people, and I like the camaraderie. Like I can get a group of people motivated and excited. I like doing that piece, but the planning and creativity of how you can impact your community when you have to be 6 feet apart and wearing a mask was really, really challenging. So I was really leaning on the other people in the team, and I can't thank all of those teams enough. And people that weren't even on our host team were jumping in with amazing ideas and strategies. So that was so great because that is not my wheelhouse, and it was really, really great to just support them and kind of help navigate that piece together.
It's really good to hear, just for me, like especially like your guys' perspective, because we have a very different dynamic. We have a little larger host team here, right? But I want to have a question, kind of like what it's been working with on the team specifically. And Kate, since you just spoke about it, I'll have you can answer first, and then Kat. But number one, what's it been look like, to grow that host team, or how do you expand during COVID? Number one. But also, because I am kind of being funny here, what's it been look like to work with Jesse specifically, right? Like he's the founder, he started this new thing. Just share a little bit about, your how that's worked with, he's an executive director of the organization as a whole. So maybe you can speak to that, Kate, and then, I'll chime in a little bit more, Kat, on your role early, right? Like building something from nothing. But yeah, Kate, maybe growing and then building, and then of course Jesse's connection through all of that.
And the Jesse piece, yeah.
About.
Of course. No, the growing and building piece, I thought it was really interesting. So, our host team was 10 to 12 people at the beginning of 2020, and then we basically couldn't do any events. And so then when we started doing some virtual things and kind of our impact where you live from a distance venture, it was really interesting. I was like, gosh, how do we still reach out to these people? A lot of people liked coming and doing the things in person. That was why they're involved in a volunteer group, right? So what I noticed was a lot of people tapping into their work, colleagues, and relationships. And I was really impressed because it's easy to then just have that group. We did these kind of pods of people where they would work on, certain fundraising events and things like that at the beginning. And I thought for sure people would just kind of stick with that group, but it was really cool to see them opening up. One of my neighbors jumped onto someone's group that she didn't know. She just jumped on a Zoom call one day and started being a part of this group. So I think that was really cool to see people's work families, if you will, kind of jump in and get involved. And these are people who had never been involved in Community Bucket, but they had a colleague who was very involved or on the host team. And then I think a few of them have even come back for the few live events that we were able to try when we thought things were maybe getting better for a little bit. So that was really, really great. And I'm hoping that they'll all be able to come back. So that was really great. I think people's work families, because I think a lot of people started this new life working from home. And so they're like, I got to do something else. I need something else to focus on or some other energy. And this is before we were all zoomed out, if you will. And so it was kind of cool to have that. And my family was getting involved, especially with like the fundraising and kind of monetary donation piece, because they could easily do that from a distance. So that was really nice.
And
then
Kate, don't forget the homemade Community Bucket masks from your mom.
And the mask, yeah, my mom made homemade. Oh, I should have worn them for the Zoom, but yeah, she made us some fun masks, which we've really only been able to wear now at one event because we couldn't do anything. So yeah, but I mean, I think she's going to start charging you for those. So I'll send you an invoice.
Right.
And then JC, I think the second part of your question was working with Jesse. I think the goal of the host team manager and the host team in general was that he could be less directly involved. And then COVID hit. So I'm sure, Jesse, that this wasn't your vision of how involved you have been. So you were stuck with me a little bit longer and more in depth than you probably planned on. But yeah, no, it's been fun to learn his perspective and see how the vision started in Atlanta and how it's moving into these other cities. And I've learned a lot about that because usually I would just attend events, and even back in Kansas City, I would just find things and jump into it, but not to be so involved in the planning committee. And wow, there's a lot of details and work that goes into this. So very, very impressed by everyone that really does this on a full-time basis. It really is like a job sometimes, but a job that's really, really rewarding. So it's been really great.
Yeah, that's good. It's always good to hear. Jesse's doing good out there. I got to check in,
Someone has to keep tabs on it.
Yeah, someone has to. Thankfully, we've got a good team out there.
a hard time about not actually volunteering at events. So I try.
Yeah. Yeah, Kat, what about early days? It was basically creating and building as opposed to, now the scaling. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing about the model is that it's pretty turnkey. Like, I think you can take it to any city and it can work. So it's not, I wouldn't say we were starting from nothing. I think we were starting from a really successful model. And I think what's great about Denver and what I've kind of alluded to already is that there are so many people moving here from other places. And particularly, I think that summer of 2017, when we all moved here, it was like, 1,000 people a week or whatever, moving into Denver. So I think there's a group of people, particularly in our generation, who are new to the city, looking for opportunities to meet one another, and also looking to get involved in their community on a deeper level. And so I think, we had sort of fertile ground to bring a successful model here. Not that it wasn't without its challenges. I think one of the challenges we found right off the bat was that not all organizations can accommodate the number of volunteers we want to bring. They couldn't accommodate the schedule for volunteers that we wanted to stick with. Not all organizations have staff who want to come in on the weekends and host volunteers. And so I think those were some of the logistical challenges that I wouldn't have even thought of until we started trying to plan events. But I think, I think the logistical challenges are always the things that you don't think of, and they pop up and you work around them. And I think the obstacles were, totally workable. And I knew that Jesse and I were going to work well together when he would text me at like 6 a.m. and I was always awake.
Oh, 6 a.m. I
was
that
always
early
awake.
hour.
And answering text messages from Jesse at 6 a.m. I was like, I've done my morning yoga, I'm drinking my coffee, and Jesse's texting me. Okay.
I love that.
So yeah, I think that the team here is pretty dedicated and devoted. And I think Jesse is also someone who's really good at like rallying people around the mission and what the organization is all about. So I think it was set up for success.
Yeah, he does pretty good rallying, I'd say. He's doing pretty good work, yes. Speaking of team, I know maybe you could tell us a little bit about meeting Craig. Is that something that maybe you'd like to share a little bit about for our audience, perhaps? Who is Craig?
Oh man, I'm blushing. Well, I met a very nice young man named Craig.
I see.
And I think my first thought upon meeting him was like, he's a nice guy. And that was about it. But then after several more times of meeting him and him persistently asking me to hang out and his sister persistently telling me I should hang out with him more, we realized that we really liked each other in a romantic way. And now we live together.
I see. Yes. Well, we have, I don't know what you guys say in Denver, but sometimes in Atlanta we say this is not an official, dating anything, but we have had,
though.
We've had quite a few of those situations come out. I just thought it's kind of fun to see, hopefully what starts as these, you casually are hanging, you're casually getting to know people, right? Whether it's romantically or not, I just like really seeing how the bonds formed authentically and in like a real way. So that's just exciting for us to hear. So
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
it's great because it's a low pressure situation, unlike a Bumble date or a Tinder date. It's like you're not, the expectation isn't there that you're gonna, fall in love. So it's low pressure. There are other people around, and you know that you have like a common interest and a common set of values with the people at the event. So I think if you ever wanted to turn this into like a multi-million-dollar for-profit dating service, you could totally do it.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking
Like an Amber.
notes.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've gotten the suggestion.
Yeah.
Maybe the next branch.
Yeah, it's a great byproduct at any rate.
And I actually do think it's one of those things that we've known this from the beginning, but also by not promoting it that way makes it keeps it from becoming the awkward type of situation that.
Totally.
And this has been great. We could probably keep asking you guys all kinds of questions for much longer. But Kate, maybe you could just share our next event is by now live in May, but maybe you could just share for anybody who's listening who wants to get involved, what we have on the docket for May and how else anybody can join in and jump in, whether it's showing up to an event or host team or anything like that.
Yeah, I'll let you give the details for the May event. I think you've been more involved with that communication piece, but use our Instagram. We have Facebook. You can email, get on the subscription list, and reach out to any of us. I guess we could share our contact info if that's easier too, but we're always looking to expand on the host team as well. So if you are one of those planning people and you want to help with these creative events in these weird times or when things are normal again, we are always welcome to more people. We've recently had a new resident move to Denver, and I think he's jumping on the team. So new people who are already living here, we would love to have you join.
And we have a lot of fun at the host team meetings when we are able to meet.
Yeah. Jesse always has some kind of fun, I don't want to call them icebreakers because we all know each other, but there's always some weird thing we have to do, whether it's on Zoom or live and in person. It's like a rat race running around.
Yeah. I'll share the details of that event. So May 22nd, we'll be at We Don't Waste, and that's a Saturday in the afternoon. We're going to be working at their mobile market. And then that Sunday morning, we'll be at Ecar Farm, where we'll get our hands dirty in the dirt the early morning, and then head over to the Lowry Beer Garden for some lunch and hanging out. So it'll be good. Both will be outside and smaller groups, but really excited to get back to in-person volunteering.
Yeah, those really, and we'll of course put those in the show notes so that everyone has them. But I just wanted to say thank you again for this. I think we could talk for so much more time, and I think we will hopefully in the future have more of y'all, the team on here. But as you know, this podcast is called We Dig Community. So I would like to ask you both one more quick question. We'll start with Kat and then finish with Kate. But what do you guys dig? What just makes you so joyous or brings a lot of joy? So Kat, how about you? What do you dig?
I dig meeting new people and facilitating connections between people, especially if it's like, I know this person from this part of my life and this person from this part of my life, and then I can bring them together in another part of my life. I really dig that.
I agree. I'm in. I agree. Kate, what about you?
Yes, I love that. I have a different answer too, but I love that piece, bringing people from different walks of my life, and that's why so many of my friends, old and new, have been coming to events. The 70-degree weather that we have coming up, I dig spending time outside with my friends, doing something super active and feeling so good physically, and then sitting out, having a cocktail or a water, whatever floats your boat, and just talking and strengthening existing and new relationships.
Gosh, that's awesome. Y'all, thank you so much. We're so excited that you guys could share the story.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys again soon, hopefully on the podcast, and hopefully all of the Denver folks are coming out to an event soon. So have a great time. We'll talk to y'all soon.